Namaste everybody. In the previous video, I explained some of the paragraphs of the story The Lost Child written by Mulk Raj Anand. So let us recap the main points of this story, then we will proceed to the next paragraph. So you have seen in this story that this was the festival of spring and many people were going to the fair, and among them there was a small child who was very happy, and he was also going to the fair with his parents. And on the way the child was attracted to many toys, sweets, garland of gulmohar flowers and balloons, and he also wanted to go on roundabout, and he also wanted to listen the very nice music that was played by the uh, snake charmer. But near the roundabout, when the child expressed his desire to go uh, on the roundabout, he called his parents, and he was lost in the child. When his parents did not respond towards the child turned back, and he saw that his parents were not there, and the child was very scared. He was frightened, and he started searching here and there his father and mother's, but he could not find, and his shouting turned into sobs. Now come to the next paragraph. He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine, to which people seems to be crowding. Every little inch of space here was congested with men, but he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father. Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostles each other. Heavy men with flashing murderous eyes and hefty soldiers. The poor child struggled to thrust a way between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movement, he might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice. Father, mother, a man in the surging crowd heard his cry, and stooping with great difficulty, lifted him up in his arms. Now, let us see first of all the difficult words of this paragraph. Here, shrine. Shrine means temple. Congested means crowded. Lingering means lasting for a long time. Jostle means post. Hefty means large and heavy. Thrust means post. Knocked means hit. Trampled means crushed. Shrieked means shouted at the top of his voice. Pitch means voice. Surging means moving powerfully. Stooping means bent forward. So now the boy was very disappointed. He was very sad when he started searching his father and mother, and he could not find his parents. He quickly started running here and there, and he could see to a temple. That temple was full of people. It means there was a great crowd near the temple, and every little inch of a space was congested with men. And the child started running through people's legs, and he was shouting also. He was sobbing. Mother, father, and near the entrance of the temple, The crowd became very thick, and the people were jostling each other, they were pushing each other, and heavy men, they were looking very murderous, and they had very large shoulders. Now, the poor child was struggling to get the way between their feet, but he was hit by the brutal movements of the people. If he was not careful, he was crushed under the foot of the hefty man. So he started shouting at the top of his voice in that crowd, Father, Mother, and a man was moving with the crowd. He heard the cry of that child. He bent forward with a very great difficulty and he lifted the child in his arms. How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? The man asks as he steered clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, I want my mother, I want my father. Now, that man, that strange man, took the child in his arms and he took out from the crowded place. And that man asked from the child, how did you get there? Whose baby are you? After that, the child was started shouting even more brightly than now, and he cried that I want my mother, I want my father. The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. Will you have a ride on the horse? He gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into thousand shrill sobs, and he only shouted, I want my mother, I want my father. So here, that man tried to make the boy calm by taking him to the roundabout. And that man asked from the child, will you have a ride on the horse? He gently asked when he approached the ring of the roundabout. The child started shouting at the top of his voice 100 times. What he was telling? I want my mother, I want my father. Now the man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on the flute to the swaying cobra. Listen to that nice music, child, he pleaded. But the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted his double pitched strain. I want my mother, I want my father. The man took near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloon would distract the child's attention and quieten him. Would you like a rainbow colored balloon? He persuasively asked. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. So the child was shouting. So that man took that child near the snake charmer. The snake charmer was still playing the flute to the swing cobra, and cobra was dancing on the music of the flute. So that man told to the child, listen to that nice music. The man requested, but the child, what he did, he shut his ears with his fingers and he started shouting at the double of his voice, I want my mother, I want my father. Then that man took the bow near the balloons and he thought that the bright color of the balloons would uh, distract the child's attention, and the child will become normal. He will not cry. So that man asks, would you like a rainbow color balloon? He persuasively asked. Persuasively means here in a convincing manner. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and he started just crying, I want my mother, I want my father. The man, still trying to make the child happy, bore him to the gate where the flower seller sat. Look, can you smell those nice flower, child? Would you like a garland to put round your neck? Then that man took that child uh, to the gate where the flower seller was still selling the garland of gulmohar flower, and that man told the child that can you smell those nice beautiful flowers, and would you like a garland to put around your neck? So the child here did not want anything because he had lost his parents, and the child has become very disappointed, very sad, and he was shouting at the top of his voice. So here the man was trying to calm that child by offering different items or things that were there in the fair, but the child was not ready to eat sweets, go on roundabout, and smell the nice flower, and he did not also want to take the garland. Now, the child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated. Reiterated means repeated his sob. I want my mother, I want my father. When that man told that boy that you can smell the nice flower, after that the child turned his nose from the basket and he repeated, and he was shouting, I want my mother, I want my father. Thinking to humor his disconsolate charge by a gift of sweets, the man took to the counter of the sweet shop. What sweets would you like, child? He asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. So after that that man thought that if I could take that boa to the sweet seller, then the boa will become happy. So the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop and he asked, what sweets would you like, child? The child again turned his face from the sweet shop and only started shouting. He was sobbing and telling that I want my mother, I want my father. So you have seen in this story that for the first time when the child went to the fair with his parents, and he wished to buy some toys and sweets, garland, he wanted to go on the roundabout, but his father refused all these things. But when the child was lost in the fair, and a strange man met with the child, and he offered many items from the fair in the shop or a stall. After that, the boy refused everything that was offered by that man. So here the child was not normal because he was lost in the fear. So he just wanted to get his parents in the fear. So you have seen in this story that now the child has become very emotional when he lost his father and mother, it shows the family relation, and it also shows the love and affection towards the parents every child had. So this was the explanation of this story. I hope you all will understand this story. Thank you.